Hi guys, so I had a guy ask me to make a video on the typical relationship pattern with the narcissist. And I've already made a lot of videos on this, but I'll do another one just to keep it fresh. So the relationship pattern with the narcissist is, it's a three-phase pattern. It's idealization, devaluation, and discard. So during the idealization phase, if you're the new source of supply, you are up on a pedestal. You can do no wrong. You feel like you're truly understood. The narcissist or the sociopath will listen intently, find out everything there is to know about you. You feel like you're with this amazing listener who really cares about you. And, a lot of times if they're the covert narcissist or the sociopath and they're very intelligent, they're very good at really getting the facts down about you, the information about you, right? So you think it's because they love you, right? Or they care about you. It has nothing to do with that. It's the reason they study you and they want to know as much as they can about you is so they can later use it to manipulate you and, get away with their double life. So, but during this phase, they have you on a pedestal. You can do no wrong. You're just amazing, right? And this is how they treated all their exes, all the other people in their life that were on the pedestal, right? And if you talk to their exes, you will hear that same story. So that was the idealization phase. Then it moves into the devaluation phase. Now, the devaluation phase, if you're with a covert narcissist or more of a sociopath type, it can be very slow and over time. You're like a frog being boiled in water. You don't even really recognize that it's going on, but like little by little, they, sort of stop doing things they used to do in the beginning, or they really start breadcrumbing you and they stop spending as much time with you. And of course, that's usually when they're starting to target new sources of supply. But in general, the devaluation can happen slowly and over time, where there will be just sort of, this feeling when you're around them, like they just don't really care about what you have to say. They're not really interested in your thoughts or feelings. They start to show you sort of almost like a hidden smugness or disdain. You may see that spill out to your friends and family, where there's like a cold disdain. They just can't be bothered to even talk with the minions. And little bit over time, like everything you do is sort of, you just get the feeling that no matter what you do, you can't please them. It doesn't matter what you try to do. You could be going to the ends of the earth to try to please this disordered individual. And it doesn't matter what you do. You cannot please these people because they are insatiable. Nothing is good enough for them. They're crazy perfectionists, even though they are so less than perfect themselves. And of course, they hold people up to this perfectionistic ideal that they do not live up to themselves, right? They expect you to be perfectly monogamous and never cheat on them, and they are constantly cheating. They expect you to be perfectly honest, and they're committing fraud, or they, whatever. They're just bullshitters, right? And hypocrites. So during the devaluation phase, with the overt narcissists, it can be much quicker. It can switch to like more verbal insults and sometimes even physical, and it can happen it usually happens much quicker, where all of a sudden, like, they start insulting you, they start calling you names, you can't, there's nothing you can do. They start blaming you for their problems. They project, they deflect, they use word salad communication. Every time you try to have a normal conversation with them to try to resolve an issue, you walk away going, what the heck just happened there? All the communication is word salad. It makes no sense. It's circular. Nothing gets resolved, and it's very frustrating. That happens a lot with the covert narcissist too, where it's like the communication is all pure manipulation. They're just manipulating the shit out of you, and you walk away with your head like spinning, and you're like, what? And you'll notice that your communication with other people in your life is totally different. you resolve conflict. With your good friends, you bring up things that are bothering you and you talk about it, and you grow greater intimacy. With normal, healthy people, you'll notice in your other relationships are really different than they are with this disordered individual. And the healthier your other relationships get, the more you might notice the dichotomy. That's definitely what happened for me, because I was in 12-step recovery, and the longer I stayed sober and developed these authentic, loving, honest, emotionally intimate relationships that were appropriate with other women, I started to really recognize the poverty in the relationship with the narcissist, perhaps sociopath that I was with. So this devaluation can happen over a long period of time. And during the devaluation, there's also intermittent reinforcement of love bombing. So you could be love bombed by roses, by dinner out, by, lots of sex, when the rest of the time they're withholding. Or it could be climbing trips or skiing trips. Like, their love bombing is going to be custom tailored to whatever it is that you love. So whatever it is. So then there's the love bombing, but that's during the devaluation, and the love bombing over time is going to get shittier and shittier. I'll give you a personal example. Narcissist I was with was pretty good at foot rubs, and like over time the foot rubs got shittier and shittier. It's such a weird example, but it's like actually true. And I now realize that it's possible that was deliberate. It's so weird to think about things like that, but I saw this person playing with this cat that we had in the similar weird way, just really toying with this cat, which is definitely almost more sociopathic. But then the discard happens. And keep in mind, when this discard happens, if the narcissist discards you, that means that they have been grooming their new source of supply for a really long time, just like a pedophile does. They groom people in the harem, right? And if they're covert narcissists, they may be kind of shitty at getting people in the harem, because they may be shy and geeky and not very charismatic. So it may actually be hard for them to get secure supply. So sometimes they have to put a lot of work into just a few harem members, right? Because they're not very good at it. So by the time the discard happens, they have already been grooming that source of supply. It could be for months, it could be for years. And why that happened, who knows? You as the supply could have done something that bothered them. In my case, I think a natural disaster happened that we ran. I had nothing to do with. It was an earthquake avalanche. It wasn't my fault, but I got blamed for that. So probably that was where, shortly after that, I'm sure that's where the discard started with me, where the narcissist sociopath I was with started to secure new source of supply, which is really awful considering, I was like trying to recover from complex PTSD from being in an earthquake avalanche in Nepal that killed 9,000 people. But I was doing all the work, therapy and everything to try to heal. And that's probably, you'll hear this a lot, where narcissists will, leave their partner when their partner is, I know of a case where the narcissist left his partner when she was having surgery to remove her breasts from breast cancer. You'll just hear stories like that. Somebody does that, they're probably a narc. Normal people don't do that. So when the discard happens, it is because the narcissists they don't have you on the pedestal anymore. You've done something less than perfect, and they've already secured a new source of supply. They never ever let an old source go before they've secured a new source. They just don't do it. So they never take breaks in relationships. One way to, kind of look and see if somebody's a narcissist is, do they have 1, 2, 3, 4 year breaks in relationships where they take the time to heal, where they don't go crazy dating, where they just actually take the time to heal? Narcissists is pretty rare. They really don't do that. So then the discard happens, and they've already been securing that new source of supply, and they have that person on the pedestal. And what's really weird is you'll notice when you're interacting with them that they will have the mask on with you that you like, but it will start to slip, and you'll see this other personality come out, and you'll be like, what the heck? That's so weird. It's almost like this person has multiple personalities. And especially if you've been with them for 10 or 15 or 20 years and you've always known them as one way, and then you see this multiple personality come out, that's because they're mirroring the new source of supply. They've put that skin suit on, right? So they're acting more like that person, and then they're trying to come back to you and sort of act like the person, the mask that you want, and it's slipping, and it's very schizophrenic, right? So you'll see this weird thing. They may start talking like the other person. They may start using words like the other person. It is the weirdest thing, especially if you've been with them for a long time. But that's because they're really having a hard time keeping up these two masks. It takes a lot of work. It's exhausting for them. So yeah, when the discard happens, that shit's been going on for a long time, and this narcissist has been planning it. They've already been planning the financial stuff. They've been very strategic. They've been very careful. They're figuring out how to best possibly screw you out of every red cent. They are notorious for financially abusing their old sources of supply in any way they can. They must win. They're going to leave. It's a scorched earth policy. They don't care if children get just destroyed in the process. They just don't give a shit. So yeah, that is the relationship pattern: idealization, devaluation, and discard. And just keep in mind, with that new source of supply, that person is on the pedestal right now, or maybe not after if a couple years goes by. But eventually that person's going to be in the devaluation, and then eventually out of the blue, that narcissist will discard them, and they will have already secured another source of supply. So that is just coming. It's just a matter of time. With the covert narcissists, it can be a number of years. With the overts, they usually go through people a lot quicker. But hopefully this helped you guys, and just kind of trying to educate people on these super dysfunctional personality, character disturbed people that you may run into in this world. And the best thing to do is to notice the red flags and avoid. Thank you so much, and have a great day. Bye.